My son-in-law just tried to sell my house to a developer, except he doesn't even own it. I'm standing in my kitchen, sipping coffee, listening to him on the phone in the backyard. He's talking big numbers, 1 million, maybe more. My property. He says the old man won't be a problem for long. I take a slow sip. 40 years at Boeing taught me one thing. Panic is deadly. When you design systems that fly, panic kills people. So I don't panic now. I just smile. See, he thinks he's dealing with some confused old widower who stumbled into real estate luck. What he doesn't know is this confused old man spent decades solving problems that would stump an army of MBA graduates. He wants to play games? Let's see how he handles precision. Soft suspense hook. Hit subscribe if you believe patience beats arrogance every single time. By the time I finish with him, he'll be the one losing everything. I mean everything. The beginning of the story. 6 months ago, the disrespect started quietly, almost like a whisper, until it became impossible to ignore. My name is James Carter, 67 years old. I've been widowed for 3 years since my wife, Ellen, passed away after a long battle with cancer. I live in a 1925 Craftsman in Ballard, Seattle. Beautiful 2,300 square feet, surrounded by the kind of trees and streets developers dream about. Zillow says it's worth about $1.75 million now. I bought it back in 1986 for $45,000, thanks to my Boeing pension savings. My daughter, Emily, works at a tech giant as a software engineer. Smart, driven, and relentless. The perfect mix of her mother's heart and my stubborn streak. Last year, Ryan married Ryan Whitman III. Yep, the third. Another Stanford MBA, startup visionary, trust fund kid. At first, Ryan seemed okay. Polite, called me sir, helped with yard work, talked about future investments and building generational wealth. I thought maybe Emily found someone solid. Then the comments started. Your dad's finances are a little confusing for his age. That was Ryan's favorite line at family dinners, delivered with a concerned smile, like he was worried about my mental sharpness. Then came the classic, this old house is too much for someone your age. Emily and I can handle the upkeep. Always with fake sympathy, always with an audience. And Instagram. Oh, Instagram. Ryan loved flexing his responsibility online. 3,000 followers watching him manage family assets, like he was some young financial prodigy. I started screenshotting everything. August 15th, he posts, sometimes you have to make hard choices for those who don't see the bigger picture. #leadership, #family first, #investment. August 22nd. Managing older family members takes patience and strategy. Not everyone understands modern finance. #wealth management, #family business. September 3rd. Old school thinking meets new school strategy. Sometimes the younger generation has to step up. #disruption, #property investment, #family dynamics. Each post got likes. His Stanford buddies applauded him. So mature, bro. Family leadership isn't easy. The pattern was obvious. Poor Emily, stuck between her declining father and her responsible husband. But Ryan made a critical mistake. He underestimated what 40 years at Boeing teaches a man about documentation. I kept records. Every conversation, every suggestion, every time he spoke to me like I was a child. The breaking point. October. Family dinner. Emily's talking about a project at work. Ryan interrupts. Actually, babe, let's focus on bigger things, like your dad's living situation. He turns to me, patronizing smile in place. Sir, with all due respect, you're 67 and alone. Emily and I have been talking, and it may be time to consider options. Options, I ask? Well, this house is a lot to maintain. Property taxes alone must be a burden. And with your Boeing pension, I cut him off. $4,100 a month, plus 401k, plus Ellen's life insurance, plus Boeing stock. Not exactly scraping by. Ryan's face falters. He didn't know about any of that. He's never been allowed to see my bank statements. Then he suggests the unthinkable. Temporary power of attorney. He paints it as helping me consolidate assets, optimize taxes, maybe move to a senior community. Emily's face goes white. Ryan, stop! But he presses on. I'm not being harsh. I just want to help. My family's been managing wealth for generations. Sometimes you have to save people from themselves. I looked at this 35-year-old kid, trust fund, MBA, think tank bravado, telling me I couldn't manage money. I said, that's interesting. Your grandfather sounds wise. He built the family portfolio from nothing. Ryan beams. Nothing? Except your father's steel fortune, right? Ryan's face falters. I stand up. Thanks for dinner. I need to get home. Emily whispers, Dad, it's fine. I kiss her forehead. And just like that, Ryan and I understood each other perfectly. As I leave, I hear him whispering to Emily, See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He's defensive about simple financial planning. Precision planning. That night, I sit in my workshop, thinking about precision, systems, and failures. If one part of an aircraft system misbehaves, it can take hundreds of lives. One misstep in finance, maybe just a house, maybe a family legacy. 2 weeks later, I'm in the garage restoring a vintage radio. Ryan is on the phone outside, loud enough for me to hear. Washington is a one-party consent state. For recordings, old habits die hard. I hit record. Yeah, Trevor, this is moving faster than I thought. Wash is losing it. Emily's seeing it too. I'll get power of attorney, force a sale, and flip to Amazon for $600K profit. I've been planning this since before we got married. I sip my coffee, calm as ever. This is about to get very interesting. Soft suspense hook. Hit subscribe if you believe patience beats arrogance every single time. By the time I finish with him, he'll be the one losing everything. I mean everything. Ryan thinks he's in control, plotting against a confused old man. But he doesn't realize he just stepped into a storm engineered over 40 years of problem-solving experience.
2 weeks ago, Ryan thought he was in control. He was talking on the phone, planning my retirement emergency. But he didn't know I was listening. Every word, every plan, all recorded. And now the real game begins. Step 1. Gathering evidence. I start with documentation, not just phone recordings, emails, contracts, social media posts, everything that shows intent. I create 3 folders on my laptop. Financial statements, my pension, 401k, life insurance, and stock portfolios. Family correspondence, texts, emails, even casual mentions of property, advice, and manipulations. Recorded conversations. Any phone call where Ryan crosses the line. By the end of the week, I have a digital fortress. Every piece of evidence labeled, time-stamped, backed up on 3 separate drives. Next, I hire a private investigator, an old friend from my Boeing days. I explain quietly. I need someone who can see without being seen. He nods. Old school methods, right? Exactly. Within days, we discover Ryan has been meeting with developers in secret, taking photos of my property, even sketching potential renovations for a quick flip. Step 2. Subtle confrontation. It's important not to alert him. Panic would ruin everything. So I start small. At family dinner, I casually mention, Oh, I read an interesting article about power of attorney abuse in Washington. Quite a few young heirs try to push parents into signing things. Ryan smiles nervously. Really? That's concerning. I nod. Yes, especially when someone doesn't realize what they're signing. Financial decisions can be tricky. Emily shoots me a look, her eyes wide like he's gonna crush him. The seed is planted. Ryan doesn't know if I know everything, but I do. Step 3. Strategic financial moves. I call my bank. Simple requests, additional alerts on any account activity, enhanced verification for large withdrawals, temporary freezes on joint account access. I transfer small amounts strategically between accounts, making it appear I'm still confused, still the old man who doesn't understand modern banking. Meanwhile, I talk to the developer Ryan was secretly negotiating with. Not to confront, but to buy time. I say, interesting proposal, but I'll need to think. My daughter has concerns. The developer, not realizing my setup, slows down. Ryan, thinking he's moving at lightning speed, doesn't notice the clock ticking against him. Step 4. The first trap. I invite Ryan to a weekend family retreat at my lake house. Sounds innocent. Emily, her friends, a small getaway. He arrives, briefcase in hand, full of confidence. I let him talk, let him feel in control. He starts pitching the house again, quietly suggesting I trust him with legal documents. I smile, sip my coffee, and quietly activate my recording system. Cameras in the living room, kitchen, even outside, capturing his every move, every word. By the end of the weekend, I have proof beyond any doubt. Every suggestion, every plan to manipulate me, all recorded. Step 5. The mind game. I don't act yet. Ryan begins to sense unease, but can't pinpoint it. One morning, I leave an envelope on his car windshield. Emily loves you. Don't ruin it. Some things are better left untouched. He picks it up, reads it, heart racing. I never speak to him about the weekend recordings, but the message lands. Fear begins to replace his arrogance. Part 2 ending, cliffhanger. By now, Ryan is panicking silently. He doesn't know I have the developer on pause. I have all his conversations recorded. I've secured my finances, and I am perfectly calm. The storm hasn't even started yet. Next, I'll show you how I turn Ryan's own plan against him, and how a simple weekend retreat became the turning point that changed everything.
Ryan thought he had time. He thought he controlled the game. But in reality, he was walking straight into a trap he couldn't escape. Step 1. The confrontation. I call Ryan to my office under the pretense of reviewing the weekend retreat notes. I'm calm, sipping coffee, while he shifts nervously in his chair. Ryan, I begin casually, I went over everything we discussed. Interesting ideas about my property, but there are some concerns. He fidgets, trying to charm, to explain, to spin his narrative. I slide a folder across the table. I think you'll want to see this first. Inside, all recordings, all correspondence, all secret plans. Every move he thought was hidden, exposed. Ryan freezes. Color drains from his face. He opens the folder, and for the first time, he realizes he has no control. Step 2. Turning his plan against him. I don't yell. I don't threaten. I let him squirm. I know about your meetings with the developer. I've spoken to them. They're on hold. No contracts, nothing moves without my say. He tries to argue, stammering. I was only thinking. I interrupt gently. You were thinking about yourself, not your family. Funny how plans backfire when someone else is smarter. I smile, not cruelly, just calmly. The calm terrifies him more than anger ever could. Step 3. Legal lockdown. Next, I meet with my attorney. We set everything in motion. A power of attorney revision giving me full oversight. Account freezes and new access protocols. Official records of all manipulations ready for court if needed. Ryan realizes this isn't just a bluff. His plan has collapsed completely. Step 4. The family statement. I gather Emily and the rest of the family. Transparency, I say, is everything. I show them selectively what's necessary. Ryan's face turns red with shame, his arrogance evaporated. Emily whispers to me, You really protected all of us." I nod quietly. Sometimes, the ones closest to you need boundaries, even if they don't know it. Step 5. The psychological victory. Ryan leaves the office defeated, humiliated, but not entirely broken. He knows I outsmarted him. He knows he can't touch my property or finances. And most importantly, he knows I am in complete control. But here's the real twist. I don't gloat. I don't seek revenge. I let him stew in the realization that the game is over, and he lost, not with a shout, but with silence. Final twist, closing hook. Weeks later, Ryan approaches me cautiously. I want to make things right, he says, eyes downcast. I smile. Actions matter more than words, Ryan. Let's see if you've learned anything. And that's when I realize sometimes victory isn't about crushing someone. It's about showing them the consequences of their own choices. The rest, well, that's a story for another day. But one thing is certain. I'm back in control, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can take that away. Ryan's plan was supposed to destroy me. Instead, it became the very thing that strengthened me. And in life, sometimes the greatest victories come from the traps you didn't even know were waiting for you.